Come on in! Hi guys, Hail Mary me to all of you. Of course, today is another day of the week here at the North American Snow Queen Palace. And today's video topic is on the variety of things. Obviously, we got concerns in our lives about our eyesight. And I wanted to explain to you, for those of you who have never had a cataract, or maybe you have heard of a cataract, but you never asked yourself, what is a cataract? Well, technically the word cataract in Greek means waterfall. That's actually what it means. Waterfall. What does that mean? Well, think of a waterfall coming from a chasm, say, covering a cave. The cave in this case is your retina or your eye, your lens. In this case, what happens is the cataract is caused by the oxidation of the lens material. The lens, as you may or may not know, is actually located within a lens sac. This sac is what gives the lens its shape. It is a very special material, and it actually keeps the lens together. Of course, the lens is also controlled by the muscles of the eye to focus. And there's two things that happen when you get older, is that your eyes begin the process of calcification. Calcification in the lens is one of the lens becomes more and more harder to flex. When you're very young, your eyes are in very good shape. The lens is very soft and pliable, so you can focus really good. But once you get to be a certain age, your eye lens gets harder and begins to be hard to work with. That's not what a cataract is. That's just age-related stiffening of the eye lens, which is one of the reasons why after a certain age you start to need prescription lenses for near or farsightedness. I was born legally blind. I am also very severely nearsighted, so therefore, to see distance, I have lenses. Okay, and what happens is that even so, my lens is kind of decided on kind of an in-between focus and is not able to flex as easily as it used to be able to. So my eye has to work really hard to see certain things now, more than they did when I was a child. That's not a cataract. Cataract is, like, I mentioned it on my YouTube channel. And first thing I'm going to do is let me go get you some props, some of the same props I used on the YouTube channel. I am back. And I went ahead into full of some educational pieces that we're going to use as part of our video. And the first thing I want to talk about is what is a cataract. I mentioned in one of my videos that older CD cases and how they start to get kind of like this. Look here. See, you can probably not really see me very clearly through this piece of plastic. It's not only because it's a little bit dirty, but also because the plastic has started to degrade. And that is pretty much what happens with a cataract in your eye, is the same thing, is that the plastic in this 1980s case it will start to degrade. And so because it's degraded, you can't get a clear view. Here's the actual insert that goes in this case, and you can see the picture is a really nice little picture of a lake scene, and it's easy to read, and it's not a problem. But when you put this back in this case, you will notice that as I slide it in here, you can see how much of a difference this makes. Think of this as a cataract of your eye. This is the way you may see the world. This is what you're really supposed to be seeing. Okay, so in other words, that's because cataracts can be caused by a lot of variety of things, and this is an extremely common problem when you age. How does it happen, and why does it happen? Well, part of the reason is because we live, especially nowadays, we live in an age of a lot of electronic visual things that push our eyes to the breaking point. And one of the most unexpected things is the fact that we know our sun shoots a lot of ultraviolet rays outside. If you happen to be outside in the sun, your eyes and your skin are constantly at the exposure of UVA and UVB. The radiation slate levels isn't so much of an issue, but as more and more people are outside, especially in the summertime, they're constantly exposing themselves to the sun, and that causes the UVA and UVB to increase in the skin and affects them. It's nice if you get a nice suntan, but some people, unfortunately, are very sensitive to ultraviolet light, and they actually get sunburned really, really easily. Now, as I said, I'm already very light, fair-skinned anyway, so I burn to a crisp. Well, the same thing happens to your eyeball. Your retina, your eye is also very susceptible. If you have ocular albinism especially, you lack enough pigment in your iris that your eye can't protect you from the UV light as well. If I did not have ocular albinism and I had a good amount of pigmentation in my skin and my eye had a very heavy iris, if you look here you can see it's kind of a very pale, kind of a blue-green look, and that is because of the ocular albinism. That causes damage. It actually can cause your eyeball to get sunburned. So if you happen to be outside too long, your eyes really start to hurt. Well, it's not the only thing that causes hurt. I was going to show you the light bulb. This is a little bit bigger than the standard light bulb, but let me show you these two different light bulbs and how each might react to each of them. They come in different sizes. Yeah. Look familiar? Gee, we see these a lot around here, don't we? Maybe not a 45 watt one, but this is a 45 watt. But what is important to know about these bulbs is the fact that they produce a lot of ultraviolet rays. That's how they work, okay? The mercury is energized and turns into a plasma, and this plasma creates ultraviolet light. That ultraviolet light hits the phosphors of the bulb, and that means that now you are at the risk of, especially if you're too close to these bulbs, you can start to burn the retina of your eyes, sunburn. It's also the same thing that causes snow blindness for some people, especially if you're out in the sun, in an area where there's not enough ozone layer to protect you from the ultraviolet rays of the sun. This can also cause ultraviolet damage. Now, in the video I did last time on the YouTube channel, I mentioned one of the solutions that should be done to protect your eyeballs. And I'm going to tell you what it is. This bulb is kind of big, but I'm going to use this as an example. Well, forgive the size of the bulb versus the size of the recommendation. These bulbs are not ideal for people, especially if the 6500 degree Kelvins, because that alone produces a lot of blue and possibly into the ultraviolet rays, and that causes eye damage. Okay, and we can't have, if you need to use any kind of CFL, you really should have it in, or a shade on it, a glass shade. No, this is ridiculously big, but okay, there you go. Now the ultraviolet rays stays in the area of the lamp. It does not need to excite anything outside of the phosphors of this bulb. So there's no, I mean, people are going to want to keep using these things. Make sure to put a glass cover on it, because the problem is the glass on these CFLs are really thin. That was made thin for a lot of reasons. Number one is they're cheap. And number two is because it makes it lighter. If I was to make a glass surface on this bulb as heavy as it should be, you would probably find yourself dealing with a bulb that weighs a lot more than this. Okay, and this one here weighs about 4 to 6 ounces. Okay, so this is a pretty big bulb. It's certainly bigger than the standard 23 watt in smaller household bulbs. But by the way, this works the same way as those. Same voltage, same everything. It just happens to be, this is rated for photography work. Now, so okay, so you know what I do with the bulb act. One of the things that was being desired is to Some say it was under Ronald Reagan. I don't think it was Ronald Reagan's fault. I think it definitely was more of a Clinton or possibly a George Bush Sr. act. They originally wanted to phase out the incandescent light bulbs. It was signed in 2007. What happened is that was great, but you know what? Did you realize that you really didn't have to create an act for it? Because companies are already beginning the process of phasing out the incandescent bulb on their own. And the only thing that did was it kind of caused people to realize that they had to buy the more dangerous and expensive bulbs that were full of mercury and all kinds of nasty things. And to see it, where was this? I don't have any LED bulbs, so because I have no LED lamps, I am not going to talk about LED bulbs. Other than to say, as I said in my YouTube video, is I have certainly had the pleasure of sitting down in areas where they do exist, and I don't have a problem. That's certainly true. And also, the other thing is that So what is the alternatives? I mean, if these bulbs cause ultraviolet rays and can cause damage to your retina and the cones of your eyes, then what are we supposed to use? Fire? Yeah, you can use fire. You can use a candle. You can use a kerosene lamp, providing you are in an area where those things are not likely to be a concern. If you happen to be living in a multifamily dwelling, those could very well be a very bad choice. So the other choice was, yes, a standard household incandescent light bulb. And as I'm sure as you look at this picture on your computer here, you're probably seeing a monitor. It looks kind of weird. It looks like it's got little dots on it. It's just the way that the lens on the camera is reacting to this bulb. This is a standard, good old-fashioned American incandescent light bulb. And this happens to be a double, a Sylvania bulb. And I'm trying to see it. 770 lumens, 60 watt double life. Okay, this is a Sylvania Ostrom. Okay, very standard bulb, very nice little bulb, and it works fine for my work. Okay, and we're using these in the studio right now. We're actually using these big bulbs, and the bigger ones are than this. We have a 300 watt in this fixture over here on my facing my right shoulder, and a 300 watt over my left shoulder. And so we have, it gets very warm in here. And we got a 60 watt light bulb, same as this one, and the fixture right above us. The only thing you notice is that because these are very voltage sensitive, when the refrigerator turned on, you see the light flicker. That's very common when you get into older buildings like this, but that's not even an issue here. Let's talk about disposal. Because obviously, whoever came up with these desire to try to phase out the incandescent, obviously did not consider, and this is apparently also true in Europe, as Dutch Wells has also said, the incandescent light bulb is environmentally safer and better than the CFL. Why? There's no mercury in it. There's no lead in it. There's no chemicals from PC boards in there. There is no phosphor. There is just a glass envelope, which usually is filled with argon, possibly an aluminium base like this right here. And it has our nice little lead soldered to it right here. You probably can't see it, but there's actually a tiny little base. It's crimped on. This is the lead that's soldered on here. We'll go a little solder here on the contact. May very well be silver solder, or maybe a ROS grade solder to meet European compliance. This is much better bulb, much better, much safer, much better for your eyes. And I gotta admit, before I replaced these studio bulbs, these CFLs with this bulb, my eyes were really doing really badly. I was really having severe eyesight problems. I'm still having problems. But now, at least, I removed one of the biggest problems because my ocular albinism was compounding. My problem was big time. But if you really if you really don't want to use incandescents, you could use light emitting diodes, LEDs, which is the newest phase. There's nothing wrong with LEDs. I have no LEDs, so I can't give you a personal comparison of LED lighting versus incandescent versus CFLs, because I have none. However, the places I have gone into that do have LED lighting, including the Winston McDonald's, the CBS refrigeration units, the lighting at IG Super Savers refrigeration cabinets, they do not affect my eyes at all. They're just blue. They're like 5,000 degree Kelvin. They're not too bad. My eyes seem to be fine. The problem when you get into video work is a lot of times we need light, because light is what makes our video work. It's what photography means. It means we use to draw with light in the original Greek words. Photo meaning light and graphy, to draw. Okay, so you draw with light with photography. So if you don't have enough light to get into the camera, it's going to be very hard to get a good picture on either a film plane or, in this case, on a CCD sensor and a video camera. Okay, so you're going to have light. But how much is too much? Well, these bulbs here, the ones above me, produce about, say, 6,000 lumens of light. That's right, 6,000 lumens. They don't make a CFL in this size that makes 6,000 lumens of light until you get to the really obscene, and I'll show you what I'm talking about when I say really obscene. This was one of the bulbs I used for the video. This is bigger than the PS25s that are already currently in our fixture. Okay. You call this a light bulb? No, this is a light bulb. This is also a major ultraviolet ray producer at 85 watts. This thing uses so much ultraviolet light that, whereas these are only a minor light, these are a major disability. How big are these compared to the way these are right now? Like this, and eventually I'm going to get a second camera so we can start showing tabletops. But for right now, let me just pull these bulbs out of the boxes. Okay. $45 watt CFL. 85 watt CFL. 60 watt incandescent bulb versus this. Now, this fits in most standard incandescent light sockets, not too much of a hassle. But these also, unfortunately, start to get kind of top heavy. As the more light you throw at the bulb can cause the lamps to begin to be a problem, because most incandescent lamp fixtures are designed to deal with heat buildup, not necessarily designed whatsoever to deal with ultraviolet light levels. So if you're going to be using CFLs, you should be aware of the difference of the kinds of lighting you're dealing with. We know that a standard LED fixture is not produce ultraviolet light. These, remember, fluorescent bulbs, both the long straight tubes and the curlies, both depend on the excitation of the mercury inside by turning into a type of plasma vapor force that excites the phosphors. It's how they work. Unfortunately, if the glass is too thin, the straight ultraviolet light, after it has done its job, is not returned to the bulb. It actually continues on out, and if you're too close to these bulbs, when they're on, you can, as I said, you can burn your retina of your eye. And also will hasten the development of cataract, and that's another reason why I'm saying right now is I think we need to tell our congressional people and get them to wake up to the reality of just how important it is, but we make sure to protect our eyes and as a person who has already suffered from legal blindness since childhood, this is a really sore point for me. They're the only eyes you got. And God knows that your eyesight is the only thing you're ever going to have. You know, you don't want to lose it. You know, treat your eyes good, just like you treat your car. People worry more about their engines in the car than they are about their eyes. Your eyes, you only get one set. And you got them for life. So make them last. In the last few years, we have seen a lot of people are talking about things like contagious diseases. We've heard fears of H1N1. We've had fears of anthrax. We've had fears of Ebola, which is the current one. We have fears of the flu. And I have not yet heard a good portion of American so-called know-it-alls talk about what can you do to protect yourself from these nasty things. And the answer is very simple, is to wash your hands before you eat, and of course after you use the bathroom. And not to use a hand dryer, because a hand dryer will actually blow the virus all over the place and contaminate more of the bathroom. And then of course it will recontaminate yourself. Make sure to use plenty of soap. I've mentioned that on my YouTube videos, and I'm going to remind you here for those of you who are still highly concerned about Ebola. Please understand that Ebola is a virus that needs to be physically touched or contact to make it happen. The same is true to some extent with the flu and the common cold. Okay, if you come in contact with a person sneezing, for example, and they happen to unintentionally or intentionally, if they're really that bad of a person, they might do it on purpose to be mean. It'll spread their germs onto your body by sneezing onto your skin. But as long as you are not putting your hands that touch that skin into your mouth, you probably will find it harder to get the common cold virus. However, we eat a lot of finger foods, and because we eat a lot of finger foods, we invariably always seem to put our hands in our mouths. And by doing that, we make it easy for a virus to get into our bloodstream. And the rhinovirus is certainly easily transmitted through picking up, putting it into your body. Your body is warm, the soul is moist. It's got the right conditions for the rhinovirus to attack the cells of the body, insert its malignant DNA, which of course your antibodies in your body will begin to sound the alarm, and you can start to get the sniffles and get sick and all that. It's your body's way of trying to get rid of the nasty contagion. Unfortunately, that means also at the point that you are also hot. And so therefore, you should also exercise due diligence and do your part to stay away from other people. Okay? That means make sure to please don't sneeze into your hand. I'm going to tell you this right now. A lot of people do this. What they do is they're putting their germs onto their hand. And if you happen to then later touch another person's hand, you're spreading via the surface contact the virus to the next person. Some people are saying to sneeze in the arm because most people don't sneeze. Most people don't grab people's arms. Okay, that's fine. Let me give you a better suggestion. If you know you're sick, just stay home. That's really the best answer. I mean, don't give it to somebody else. It's not fair. Don't forget that Ebola is what they call hemorrhagic fever, which is actually what it is. It has a high mortality rate of 70%. That means, to put it in perspective, if you have 10 friends, 7 of them, and all 10 of them got infected with Ebola, 7 of them are more than likely going to die. Not very nice. It's really quite a unpleasant situation from studying the medical lab results and doctor's notes on Ebola. It's certainly not something you want to get, and so therefore you need to exercise caution. But because of the flu season is affecting a lot of people, not everybody can take flu shots. You can get a flu shot I would do it. If you can't, because like me, you're allergic to certain egg products, then you need to exercise, do caution. If you know someone's got the flu, don't voluntarily put yourself in their way, okay? If you can, stay away from that. Now, if you have developed enough immunity from heavy flu that you can go ahead and keep going, that's fine, but there's no reason to put yourself in harm's way if you can avoid it. And some people are even afraid it can be turned into a weapon. Just by its nature, Ebola already is a weapon. It's being spread from person to person, and it's getting spread especially because people travel all over the world. I'm going to say right now is that there is a lot of concern about Ebola, and people should be just trying to exercise some common sense. Like I said, wash your hands before you eat. Wash your hands after you use the bathroom. Don't sneeze into your hand. If you can, sneeze into your arm, or of course, always try to use a napkin if you can. I know tissues don't usually survive too long. I know from experience. But, and of course, ideally, best circumstances, if you got a cold, flu, whatever, even Ebola, stay home. Now, we got a couple more episodes for the season remaining, and I'm going to try to focus on a few things. I'm going to be adding some of the older videos from my YouTube channel here. I'm talking about spiritual realm issues. And so you will be seeing a lot of those. And I wanted to make sure you understand the way the Cable 13 seasons are. Because there's only so many slots available for programs. A typical Cable 13 program season is 11 episodes. And if someone else wants to use your time slot after the 11th episode, your time slot may be reallocated to that person. If no one wants to reuse your time slot, your program may be allowed to continue on for a second season of another 11 episodes. And so I'm going to be very hard at work trying to make sure that we can continue for a second season. Of course, it's subjective to availability of time slots. And it doesn't go through your Nielsen ratings. So a program cannot necessarily be canceled because it's not popular. And on the other hand, because this is a public access channel, there's only so many slots available. And so the program's management may need to consider what program and where. And so if you see after you've watched the 11th episode and there's no 12th episode for the season, and we start season, or we don't start a second season of the program, and something else replaces our program on this time slot, you'll understand. Okay? But for right now, I'm just saying is I'm going to continue the programs as long as I can. Okay? Because, things are changing, and nobody knows what the future holds. I sure the hell don't.